Hey everybody, welcome back to What the Sales. I'm here with my man Josh Wolpert again. We're going to walk you through about Gartner as well as some resources for you all to do on your role plays next week, I believe. Like we said, these coaching sessions are very interactive. Every Monday at 1 p.m. we meet and we can discuss any questions you have and help you prepare for the role play. So feel free to join next Monday with your burning questions because I think it's the day before the role play. So come with some good questions and we could work with you guys on those. Otherwise, stay tuned for at least one more video to help you prepare. So Josh, let's get started here and just lay out a bit of an agenda for our meeting today and what we're going to cover.
Yep. So I think today we wanted to focus on helping you guys with your presentation and learning more about Gartner. So we're just going to cover a little bit of that. If you guys have any questions about stuff, you can feel free to email us later. This one should be a little bit quicker than the last ones and should have a good understanding of really what Gartner is and what they do, and really what you can use to your advantage to utilize for your presentation for this role play.
Great. All right, so we're going to get into about Gartner. Just a quick backstory. I interned at Gartner last summer, so I have a bit more in-depth knowledge, and Josh just recently competed at NCSE, so his is fresh of mind, top of brain. So you got some good resources coming at you. So we're going to jump into this. So about Gartner, right off the bat, something you need to know is Gartner is the world's leading research and advisory company. That's their staple phrase they use. It's a very easy way to introduce the company and very down to earth, and your buyer will understand that. So Josh, just jump in whenever. I'm just going to scroll through here, add anything you feel relevant. This is something I used a lot here. Is they're a member of the S&P 500 and they have clients in 73% of the global 500. So all this stuff is just relevant when you do a Gartner overview before your pitch. Just share some of these facts that you think are relevant. 15,000 client organizations, 100 countries. So they're very diversified in who they work with. And this is, they serve leaders from major functions across these enterprises. So they really reach in every market sector. So that's a very good fact to use, especially in the case you're working on now. And Josh, you want to talk about what they offer?
Yeah, so let's see. I've actually never seen this here before. So if you know more about these three from your
Sure.
internship, you can go ahead and talk about
Sure.
those.
So what they're offering here, so this is Gartner's really going to help you with this line here: save time, money, and make confident decisions. So this phrase I always like to use in my internship and in past NCSC is save time, save money, and mitigate risk. You use that phrase, it's going to come across very well that you know Gartner and you know what you're talking about. So if you remember anything from this call, that's a great phrase to incorporate into your role play. So what they offer is trusted insight. All their research is top of line from incredible analysts who are constantly delving data to come up with their insights. Strategic advice, so that's talking to an executive partner, and then practical tools to help you make those tough decisions that we'll get into later when we delve into the product a bit more. And then just to reiterate how they help is they're saving you time, money, and mitigating risk. So really use that phrase. That's a general overview of Gartner. Feel free to pause the video and read this. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit if you need any more information from the screen. But yeah, that's the general overview of Gartner. Don't think about it too much. What I said is probably all you need for the role play. You don't need anything too crazy.
Yep, I agree. I think the two things that I focused on most when I did my NCSC one was just this first thing up on the top here, just understanding what it means that Gartner is the leading research and advisory company. So it's just like they have analysts that do research and they can sell the research that they have to help others make decisions. So there's some other tools that we can get in later about that with the presentation. And then like Hayden said, the little tagline of saving money, time, and mitigating risk. I think those were my two biggest things that I had focused on for understanding Gartner.
Yeah, and it's very easy to probably get caught in the weeds with Gartner and you get too deep in and next thing you know, you're reading about analysts and all this other stuff. Just keep it real top of mind for the role play. Don't get too crazy. But it is worth looking into. They're an awesome company to work for and to get to know a bit. So now we're going to get into what's relevant to you folks and what you're going to be using in your role play and how you can incorporate what we're saying. So these are some competitor resources here that are going to help you learn the product a bit and get more comfortable. We're just going to keep this very high level. We're not really here to give you the product. We're here to just guide you through it, and really high level basis here.
So really what we're selling here is it's Gartner's package. It's called Gartner for CIOs. It's like a service that they run. And it comes down to these three different things, which you may or may not have checked out on this site yet. So those three things are the research that they provide, which is one thing we hit on briefly. There's a cost optimization section of it, which that has two different parts. There's the cost optimization tools, and then there's also the IT budget report. So with some of that, I mean, we'll dig into it a little bit more later. And then there's also an executive partner. So that's just someone that they can pair up with and advise them on some of their strategy.
Yeah, so just to reiterate what Josh was saying, so it starts off with research. This is giving you access to that Gartner portal with their vast amount of research on many topics over the enterprise. So no matter what part of the business sector you're in, there's specific research to your needs. It's very relevant when you're looking to make a tough decision and need some third-party help when making that decision. So you could go and browse their magic quadrants and their hype cycles to see what you want to buy. You could get into that a bit more by clicking these links or just doing some quick Google searches. But yeah, the Magic Quadrant Hype Cycle are very relevant with Gartner.
And just to butt
Yeah.
in for like the
Yeah,
people that don't know what those are, is those two things, those are just kind of tools that go along with this research, which helps companies. One of the big things is like companies might be using Gartner research to find a new vendor to move forward with. So if they wanted to implement a system, maybe they're looking at different people in the Magic Quadrant and the Hype Cycle. That's kind of tools that can tell them maybe which companies they want to partner with, maybe when is a good time to partner with new companies, things like that. So that's really where a lot of the value is held with the research portion.
absolutely. Absolutely. And then getting into cost optimization. This one's very neat. Josh, you want to touch on this?
Yeah, so cost optimization, this is another big one. So a lot of the companies that partner with Gartner, um, they use them for really this pillar alone. So like I said, there's that IT budget report, which that's a really big thing. It's like um, I'm sure there's a sample of it if you read more into that. But partners with Gartner, they fill out like a questionnaire, and then it spits back like this 30-page report, and it really tells these customers where they're overspending, where they're underspending on some of their aspects, so that they know really how they can allocate their budget, where they might need to cut costs. So this really hits on that saving money portion of the little Gartner tagline. So it can really help them decrease some of their costs. And then the other part of this, which is important, there's also a contract review service. So I'm sure in one of these it talks a little bit more about that. The contract review service is the Gartner analysts will review contracts that a client might have with new vendors, and they can typically find like hard dollar savings in those contracts. So that again hits on the saving money portion. So if in your needs you find out that your customer needs to save some money, this is going to be a big thing to talk about.
Yeah, so just to add on to that, so the two that we covered here, research is saving you time because you're delving in the Gartner database and the Gartner portal to get trusted research. A lot of the times businesses use Google. Anyone can put something on Google. To go through Gartner, it has to be a trusted analyst who's doing the research. So this is research you can trust, and you can present in front of the board, in front of your bosses and whatnot, and make sure you're making great decisions that you're confident in. And like Josh said, the cost optimization is saving you money. So they're working with your contracts as well as your budget to see where you're allocating your funds. So that's saving time, saving money, and then mitigating risk. They all tie together. But finishing this off as the executive partner, I could touch on this very briefly, and Josh can delve into it a bit more. So the executive partner is basically a crutch to lean on. So let's say you're just gotten into a role. I was just introduced. I've been working in IT my whole life, and now I work in the construction business. I'm a CIO for a top construction firm. They'll pair me with an executive partner who has knowledge in the industry I was just put in. So if I have any questions that I don't know how this works, I can contact my executive partner and ask them the questions that I have, and they can give me value with their insight on the sector that I'm currently in. So having that crutch to lean on, if you're presented with some information that you don't know where to go and you don't know who to contact, this is a great third-party source who you can talk to and get to know and build this relationship with over time. Josh, you want to take that any further?
Yeah, and I think another important aspect of this executive partner you just mentioned briefly is that they're a third party source. So, unlike maybe some other people that you're talking to, they're going to give you some unbiased strategic advice. So, really, if one of your clients' goals is to like implement a new IT strategy or something like that, you can have this person to lean on where they're going to give you unbiased information, whereas compared to maybe the person that you currently go to for advice works for a different company that might be a competitor or something. Maybe they're not giving you all the answers that you need because they are that competitor, but this is unbiased information where you know they have your best interests in mind.
Yeah, so Josh, you would say that's kind of mitigating risk, right?
I would.
That's
I'd say that
mitigating
like
risk.
right
You have
there.
someone who's unbiased and giving you that insight. So that's the three sectors that you're selling, three products here that Gartner's offering. I believe in our role play, you can sell them individually. You have to check on that, but you're gonna analyze with through needs identification which ones are relevant to your situation. Um,
Yep.
so lastly, this is just understanding the role of the CIO. That should be very relevant to all of us. We're all business students. You should know what the CIO does at this point of your collegiate career. Um, and this is just how to sell. So you can see how to sell. We put up a demo role play on YouTube. That's just walking through the sales process and what you should hit each time. Be sure to check that out if you haven't already. That'll help you a lot. But yeah, so this is a general overview of what you're selling, the three major parts of Gartner. If you have any questions, be sure to bring those to next week's call, Monday at 1 p.m. It's the day before the role play, so be sure to come with your best questions and come prepared. We'll be more than happy to help you. Josh, any last remarks about Gartner or any of the products?
Just as a little parting recommendation, I would say definitely on that other page that's linked that we were just looking at. I would say to kind of dig through, and some of them are just some quick 5-minute videos. Some of them are some PowerPoints and stuff that you can read through. The things that we talked about were a real high level overview, but if you have a really good understanding of the product, I think that's just really going to give you an edge in your role plays. It's going to help you be better prepared for any objections that might come up, that sort of thing. So really just make sure you take a look at this on your own time too, and figure out everything that you can before your role play next week. And I think
Josh,
that'll do you some justice.
and just quickly before we go, I know we talked about this prior to the call. Can you touch on what has been successful for you in presenting a product like Gartner, and any tips to recommend for them to do when presenting this product?
Yeah, definitely. So I think we touched on it some in our last video. But one thing that's really important with any presentation, especially for Gartner, since it's pretty complex, is to be engaging with the buyer, which is a little hard to do over this Zoom call. But one thing that I recommend that I did for my NCSC this year, which also had to be over Zoom, was I had a PowerPoint made up. I shared that with them through screen share. So that's a good way to kind of show them around with your mouse, just be more engaging, and then constantly ask questions. So say, Hayden, do you see some value in this cost optimization tools or something like that, where you're not just rambling on for 3 minutes, you're engaged. So you know that the buyer's listening, you know you're getting feedback as you go. Because as Merle always says, you have two ears and one mouth. So you want to be using the ears, getting the feedback rather than just talking.
Great point. Two ears, one mouth. You already know. But all right, so that's all our insight for you folks today. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week at 1. And don't forget the phrase, save time, save money, and mitigate risk. Stay healthy and stay safe. Thanks for watching.